So, we start with our reading. In an effort to make meetings more effective and efficient, the Select Board has made a change to the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens or others wishing to address the Select Board during a meeting may do so during the public comment portion of the meeting. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. Oh, we weren't expecting.
I've gone on time.
Wow. Once the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public will be able to speak if the chair determines their input is needed during another portion of the meeting. Otherwise, yeah, there may be comments at the end of the meeting that's material covered. For participants on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please don't comment or question in the chat as it is distracting for all. The intent of this new policy is not to stifle community input, but rather to allow the Select Board to be more effective and efficient in their work. People are welcome to email the members of the Select Board at any time with feedback or questions. Our email addresses are on the town's website and on the notice of the sign-up schedule. As usual, we start with public to be heard, and this is for material that is not on the agenda. And we have comments for public to be heard. Yes, Chuck.
I want to thank you for supporting the 9 recommendations from the Housing Committee, and I'm hoping that you are forwarding them to the Planning Commission with the same vigor that you are advancing the town garage. I've spoken with some people in the Planning Commission who aren't aware of them. So
aware of that we supported them.
Of what they are and that you recommended they take those up. As a package, they represent really a change in housing policy for the town of Jericho. I think of some significance. And I think that to get them through is going to require the same vigor, as I said, that you're bringing to the town garage. So you have a big deadline coming up on the wastewater project. Committed by mid-January to, and this is in quotes, establish well-defined next steps regarding municipal wastewater infrastructure for the village centers and the commercial district, and identify required municipal resources, staffing, and capacity. I think you have what you need to meet that deadline.
Where are you reading that from?
It's from the housing resolution.
Oh.
That you were going to do that 90 days after getting the 90% report. And, you know, you've had an engineer working on this for 2.5 years. I think you've got what you need. He's presented the preferred alternatives and the critical next steps. Most of those next steps are not in the Public Works Manager's job description. So you don't need to be waiting for that. I think you can meet your January deadline by identifying the project and the alternative that you want to proceed with, and by establishing an annual commitment to a reserve fund of $200,000. We are at the end of this coming budget. We will be 2.5 years into your 8-year plan, in which you identified housing and wastewater as your highest priorities. So it's really time to move ahead. If you don't move now, you're going to be waiting another year. So far, wastewater has been this kind of theoretical thing, which has been used to justify exclusionary zoning. So you really do have an obligation to move ahead. And this is going to require leadership on your part, with energetic support from the Planning Commission and from the Housing Committee. But it's really time, I believe, for the Select Board to lead. It's not about will the town allow us to put in a reserve fund. You need to persuade the town that this is necessary and this is something we have to do, or we need to revise the town plan. The town plan depends on this and depends on your moving forward. We also have a developer who's hanging in the wind. There's no reason for him to believe you're proceeding until you make a commitment. If you want to hold on to the potential for Mr. Tatro to be building these apartment buildings, I think you need to demonstrate that you're ready to move ahead. I think as part of your decisions about proceeding, you have spoken favorably about Riverside wastewater as a priority. You have not told the engineer that, and you've not told the town that. I think you need to do that. I also think the second priority needs to be water in Jericho Center. I think it's irresponsible for the town to be concentrating additional housing in village centers that don't have fire protection. I'm an advocate for additional housing in village centers and look forward to having more neighbors, but advocating for additional density without fire protection, which you know we need. There's a lot that can be done and needs to be done separate from hiring the public works manager.
Thank you.
Look forward to your mid-January decisions.
Up there because where's
Tom Barabo is online, yeah.
but next on the agenda is review and consider adopting the town forest management plan. Tom Barrow. Oh, yes.
We're not getting audio from you yet, Tom. See, he's got green behind him though. Always the environmentalist. That's a giant plant behind him.
Yeah.
Actually, is that next on the agenda?
Ash tree management. Oh, town forest.
Yeah, because it's adopting the town forest management plan. It's just Tom Barrow, but
yeah.
Who's going to speak?
You hear anybody? Have you heard anybody from there yet? Paula, can you unmute for 1 second and just say something?
We can hear Paula.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I can't really see Tom because the light.
Can't hear you, Tom.
You know what?
I think he knows.
Otherwise, I guess Don could speak.
Don may have to
speak.
Don, you may have to speak on Tom's behalf.
Tom will do it.
I mean, sure. I can at least talk until Tom gets his audio figured out. For those of you who don't know, I'm the town tree warden, and I am a forester, and I've written plans similar to this many times in the past, and I've worked with Ethan, and I've read through the plan that Ethan did for the Starboard Road parcel. I still call it the Waterworks parcel because that's what we used to call it, because it, as you may or may not know, that had the old town wells on it. It still does. However, they're not in operation. But the plan is great. It covers a lot. It's well written, and it's not just written for a professional. It's written for the public. So it's very understandable. He describes, some fairly technical forestry concepts so that anyone can understand them. And I give it a stamp of approval. I think Tom wanted to talk about the fact that the plan does call for a little bit of work. Primarily invasive species removal. And in the second small parcel, the parcel that is an old sand pit, I believe, out closer to Route 15. I know there's not good access to that, but apparently there is a right-of-way off of Route 15. But I think it kind of goes right in between two houses, so it's not going to be something that I would think we could easily just open up into a roadway. But the recommendation, there's a lot of invasive species in that little 12-acre piece. And it's got a plantation of red pine, which is deteriorating quickly. It hasn't been thinned, so the trees are too close and they're choking each other out. And there's been a lot of mortality. And the recommendation is to slowly eliminate that. And probably there's no value there. It's just going to be cutting trees down a few at a time, and just leaving them there to help replenish soil nutrients. I certainly don't see us removing, logs and timber from that. It's just going to probably, just be cut and left on the forest floor and allow for natural native species to regenerate. I'm not sure what else to say.
That was very good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's very helpful. Tom, do you wish to speak to the work that's required now? Are you able to speak?
Well, just to be clear, this isn't like a use value appraisal plan that has to have work done or else it gets kicked out. These are suggestions. If we don't want to do any work in there, we don't have to. But I think it's a great place to maybe even get some of the public involved and learn a little bit about invasive species, and perhaps maybe even planting some pollinator species in there. And there's like a wetland in the middle too. So it's got a lot of diversity in a small parcel, and it could be a great outdoor classroom, even being so close to the school. So there's a lot of possibilities for it.
Yeah,
and again, I'm talking about what he's calling parcel 2 or stand 2. It's the small 12-acre piece that's kind of cut off from the rest of it.
My read of it was basically that what we're being asked to do is basically accept the plan, that we agree with it. The plan itself calls for mostly leaving alone the bigger parcel, other than maybe watching for invasives and that type of thing. But to take some action, like you said, on the first one. I'm assuming adopting the plan doesn't obligate us to like any specific thing, like 2 trees a month or anything weird like that, right? It's just basically saying we read it, we agree, and we're good. Is that basically what we're doing?
Yeah, that's my understanding of what we're looking for from the select board, is just the adoption of it. This plan doesn't hold us accountable for anything.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion from a knowledgeable forester.
Yeah, well, like I said before, off the record, I'll say now on the record, I really enjoyed reading it. I read the whole thing. I read through it. It was like a nice, relaxing read, and certainly educational. And I thought it was good. So and if you, our town forester, agree with it, I don't think I have any concerns, especially if you don't.
But I think it's the one that for mobs, the management plan for mobs has to be approved, and then they actually have to do things. That's a very, very different kind of plan.
Okay, yeah.
But so we could take a motion to.
I'll make a motion to approve the forestry plan as presented from. What was the name of it? Bear Island Forestry.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next was discussion ash tree management expenses.
Yeah, and I can probably tackle that. As you know, I'm sure I did the ash Emerald Ash Borer preparedness plan for town of Jericho, and it is on the website. I've updated it once, but that was last December. And I was using an estimate at that time of how many ash trees we had in the Jericho Town Road right-of-ways. And since then, Sabina Ernst wrote a grant application, and she got funding for the town to hire 2 interns this past summer to do the ash inventory. And I helped, and I had done some previous, and I helped them a couple of days, but basically they did most of it. And so we now have good numbers for numbers of ash trees. And I have updated some of the figures. And if I was estimating before that it might cost, there's factors here that make it either be more expensive or less expensive. And part of it is the dollars per inch of tree that it costs to remove them. And the kind of accepted number that the state has is $18.33 per inch of tree to have trees removed. And if that were to change, or if the mean diameter makes a big difference too. So my numbers in the previous plan that I wrote were a projected cost of almost $500,000 and a low end of $297,000. However, with my new numbers, which knock it from 45 trees per mile down to 30 trees per mile. So we've got 1,870 ash trees within the Jericho Town Road right-of-ways. Divide that out by 62 miles of town roads, that equals 30 trees per mile. So an estimate, if the mean diameter is 10 inches, and that's a fairly common mean diameter if you're taking an average of random trees. That comes out to about $5,500 per road mile, or $340,000 plus or minus. However, if the mean diameter was only 8 inches, it would come out to $272,000 and change to remove. And this again is to remove all of these trees from the right of way. If we can get a lower cost, say $15 per inch to remove the trees, it would be about $223,000. So there's so many different factors. I'm going to say it's going to be somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000 to get all the trees removed. So thinking about this, what if we have town personnel remove some of those trees? And, I've been tree warden for Jericho now for, I don't know, maybe the tenure of 4 different road commissioners. And we've had some road commissioners that have been all for doing tree removals when they're slow, like during the winter when there's no snow. They have the plow crews and extra manpower to do this kind of work. We've actually done quite a bit in the past. One of our more recent road commissioners, though, did not want to touch a tree. So every tree that had to be removed was removed by outside contractors, which made it expensive. And another thing is, some of these trees we've tallied, some of those 1,870 trees, they're small. They're maybe only 4 or 5 inch trees. Those we could probably do ourselves. So there's just so many factors involved. So my recommendation is to, first of all, start planning for this and come up with a fund that we can use to hire outside contractors. And also talk to our town road crew, road foreman, see if we can get them involved in doing some of this work.
Hey, Don, this is
Yeah.
Paula. Are some of these ash trees that can be removed, like talking about the road crew, maybe removing them, are they like along the roadside where it's easy access for them to do?
Well, all of these trees are along the roadside. They're all within the town road right of way,
Okay.
which in general is 25 feet from center of road.
Mhm.
So they're fairly easy access. The one compounding factor is if there's power lines there.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want the road crew working around power lines, and I'm sure they don't want to do it either. So things to think about. Could we just hire a tree service by the month? Hire some crews by the month. I don't think we can do this by the tree. That's just too expensive. We need to do it by road mile or by road. For instance, last December we did Bulger Hill Road, and we took out the ash trees on Bulger Hill, but there was a lot of hazard trees that weren't ash up on Bulger Hill, and that was a pretty big project. That was like 3/4 of a mile, I think, and it cost how much was that, Paula? Like 10 grand?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's $10,000 to do 1 mile of road, let's just say. We got 62 miles of roads. So it can really be expensive. And another thing is I've done some work with Green Mountain Power in the past, and I know Green Mountain Power has already removed some ash trees. Barber Farm, I think they did. But those trees are only trees that are interfering with their power lines. But some of them were in our road right of way, and that actually helps us out a lot. So we need to work with them, find out what other sections they might do, and that might help us out. So there's a lot of things to think about here. But in the end, it's going to cost a bunch of money, and we should start planning for it.
Don, how much, it sounds like you're thinking about an ongoing many-year process.
Yeah, in my plan, I think I suggest a 5-year process. So, set aside $50,000 a year for 5 years and just work with that. The problem is the ash trees are dying now, and once they're dead, they're harder to remove because they're brittle and they're dangerous. And tree removal crews have to use enclosed equipment, and it just becomes a lot more expensive if the trees are already dead.
You've seen some in Jericho that are already experiencing this death?
Yeah, quite a few up on Bulger Hill were dead, and it was wintertime, so I couldn't find any beetles, but there was evidence of beetles on those trees, and there is a known infestation right down on Brown's Trace in just over the Richmond town line, so it's close, and it's definitely here. I know we have it in Jericho and in Underhill. The state hasn't confirmed any of it, but so many of the trees are dying and they're exhibiting the features of a beetle-killed tree.
Yeah, okay.
Sabina, excuse me, Sabina has a question as well.
Okay.
Hi, not so much a question, but just an additional bit of information. For funding, I believe that the EAB grants from the Urban and Community Forestry Program are still available. Not so much for this year, but let's say we had we had some in-house tree removal of some of the smaller trees. It could be possible that we apply again for the EAB grant for tree removal funding, and that we could supplement some of our expenses if we were to get that grant. I applied for it last year and we did not receive the funds, but I think we would have a stronger case this time around because now we've done the survey and we have the actual data for the trees. So I think because that was missing last time, we didn't make the cut, but I think we should keep that in our back pocket as a potential source of funding.
Yep, you're correct. And there is a deadline coming up, I think, in January for getting a grant in or a proposal in for tree removal funding. So we'll need to look into that, and that could certainly help us out quite a bit.
John, can you give me a very brief education? I thought, as not a person who knows about trees, that the problem was these beetles were killing the ash trees, so we have to get rid of the beetles. But now it sounds like we're just doing the work for them and taking the trees out ourselves.
Right.
Yes, if we wait and the trees just die, which they're doing already, they pose significant hazards to the public because they randomly fall down, and the wood becomes very brittle, and branches just snap off randomly. And, you know, a 4-inch diameter, a 10-foot long branch could kill somebody.
So we don't, and I'm not at all questioning you, but so we as a Vermont state or whatever organization, we've given up on trying to stop the beetles. We're just going to cut down the trees before they get dangerous.
Yep. Yeah, Don gave us an extensive presentation on some of that, which we can probably dig up for you.
Yeah,
He came to the select board
before I was here.
Yeah, before you were here.
Actually, if all of those questions are answered for you in my EAB preparedness plan that you guys have a copy of, and it's on the website. And that's another thing. All my tree warden stuff is so buried on our town website that not even I can find it.
I was just looking for it. I couldn't find it either. So
yeah, we need to redo
website.
tree warden stuff on the website.
I'm working on that, Don.
It's on the Conservation Commission page, right front and center.
Okay.
It's don't blame the website.
All right.
Well, the search is terrible.
Okay. Well, we'll work on this. But anyway, look at it and read it. There's a ton of information in there.
That's great. Thank you very much.
How to answer it all for you.
Yeah, other towns have proactively reduced all their trees.
So would now be a good time to mention the town parks.
I think
I'm actually more concerned about hazards to the public in Mills Riverside Park and in Mobbs Farm parcel. We had some extra time for our summertime interns, so I had them walk the trails in Mills Riverside Park and at Mobbs Farm. And they recorded all the ash trees that could fall on a trail. And in the same way that we did the town right-of-way trees. And, you know, they're classified by size and by if they're dead or dying or alive. There's 350 trees in Mills Riverside Park that pose a threat to people hiking on the trails. And we've got 141 in Mobbs. I think there might be more in Mobbs, but it doesn't really matter. There's at least 141. And I wish I could share with you some of the pictures. They're on my phone still. I could email them out later, but I took some pictures of the ones at Mills Riverside. There's a loop trail, and man, there's so many ash trees right adjacent to that trail, and now 25% of them anyway are already standing dead, and we really need to do something about that. While we were up there taking these tallies, I couldn't believe how many people were up walking on those trails. It really is dangerous. I'd like to, can I share my, I don't really know how to share the screen.
I can give you access to share, Don. Hold on just one moment.
I have a couple of maps that show.
You are all set.
Okay. That's not what I want. Are you looking at my screen now?
No.
Okay. All right. How do I share it? Share screen.
So I'm not the only one that has trouble, Eric.
So down at the bottom, Don, is a little green up arrow with the word share underneath it.
All right.
That.
I just
did. And then there's
that.
like 4 more clicks you got to do. Once you click that.
Wait. Screen 1.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Are you looking at my screen now?
Yep.
All right. You're looking at that. That's, yeah. Okay. Are you looking at a map yet?
No, it's
Look at the Google Doc, it looks like, or a Word document.
Yeah. Let's hang on just a sec. What if I bring
it looks like the preparedness plan.
There you go.
That's cool. Okay,
there's the map.
You can see the map now. All right, so these are all the trees in the town of Jericho, all the ash trees on our roads. Wow. And there's 1,870 dots there. But then right up here, this is Mills Riverside Park, and that's where there's like 350 of them, and they're all draped over each other. And this is mobs. And let me see. Okay, that's Jericho ash. This is Mills Riverside. These are all the trees. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yes.
So this is that loop, the trail that comes to the south here. It's I can't believe how many are there and how dead they are. So we got to figure out what to do.
If there are that many there that are dead, it's something else killing them, right? We haven't had EAB there that long to kill that many.
It doesn't take too long for EAB to kill a tree. Okay. And they either do or they don't have EAB, and it doesn't really matter because they're dying. Mm-hmm. Let's see. This is Mills again.
Park needs to start thinking about that though.
So the red dots are the ones that are dead, and unfortunately a lot of them are hidden behind green dots. But as I said, and as you see, if you read through the preparedness plan, the time to get the ash out of there is when they're still alive. Yeah. Because they're much safer to remove at that point. And I don't know how we're going to do this. Something to think about. Can't really have a tree service go up there because it's forest. It's almost like we'd have to have a logging crew do it, or maybe just some hand cutters cut them down and leave them on the forest floor. That's possible. I don't want to even throw out the idea of logging in Mills Riverside Park. That's going to stir up a hornet's nest. But they need to be cut down at least. And it'd be a shame to waste the trees because the wood is valuable. Wood for good would take it for sure. So lots of things to think about. We won't solve this tonight, but I wanted to throw this all out there. So
Loves it.
Don, I found the EAB, preparedness plan, which I had
Yeah.
not seen before. I'm gonna look through that. I appreciate you pointing out that it's there. It looks like all my questions are right there, so thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
All
very
right.
easy.
All right, you guys have to tell me how to get back out of share screen now.
So at the bottom, I think where you, maybe at the top.
Very top, I think.
Yeah, at the top, they'll say stop
sharing your
sharing.
screen.
Oh, stop. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. All right.
Hey. Great. Well, that's very helpful.
Impressive.
That's very helpful.
Okay. So what I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks, let's say, I'll update the preparedness plan with the new numbers, and I'll also include the park numbers and get that to you guys to replace the outdated version on the website. And then I think an action plan for Tom, Sabina, and myself would be to try to get a proposal into the state for tree removal funding. I think the maximum limit is 50,000, and I think they have 300,000 for the state total.
Yeah.
But we have our ducks in a row. We have all the numbers now. So like Sabina said, I think we would stand a better chance. We've done the preparedness plan. We've done the inventory. We've got some maps. I think we'd stand a good chance of getting something anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime we can get grant funding to help with some of these projects, it's always useful.
Yep.
Well, is there anybody, do you have any more questions for Don or Tom?
No, thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the effort. I mean, this was very good.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Very good.
It was grappling the last time this evening, so not a nice evening.
Yep. Good seeing you guys.
care.
I guess
Take care.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
leave.
Don.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Next on the list is appoint Barry Driscoll to the Conservation Commission with a term expiring in 2027. Is that you?
That's me.
Ah, you want to come up well, actually, technically, you don't have to come up to the front anymore. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Jericho for over 30 years. First, had a son go through the school system. I don't know Tom well, but I know of Tom. We've met. We had kids go through the school about the same time. I know that he's been involved with the Conservation Commission for quite a while, which is a great continuity. I worked for engineering companies in Vermont doing land surveying, creating the kinds of plans and things that go in front of the DRB, permitting, quite a bit of local and state permitting for those guys, a couple of different companies. The kinds of volunteer things that I've been involved in the past, I ski patrolled for several decades. Was on the MOPS committee when they formed it, helped write that original management plan. Spent some time on the Fellowship of the Wheel board. Then kind of stepped away from volunteer stuff for a while after I retired. But I've been thinking I would like to get back into doing some. Considered some of the committees the town has. Wasn't that interested in getting back on the MOPS committee, although I kind of keep track of what they're up to, or the Trails Committee, or I'm an avid cyclist, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. But I've always, I've got a forestry background, and a lot of the stuff I did while I was working is things that the Conservation Commission considers as part of what they do, projects that go in front of the ERB. So I guess of all the town possibilities for volunteering, Conservation Commission seemed like the most fun to me. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy sitting through everything you guys are doing tonight, but that was cool for me, as far as I'm concerned. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know Don from way back when he lived on the Research Forest. We were sort of neighbors and knew each other.
Oh, that's great.
So, I don't know. Do you have any questions?
Got any questions?
What would be the first thing you'd have the team, the committee do?
That I would have the
Like, if you took over and it was your committee, what would be one of the first areas you'd focus on?
That's a good
Well,
question.
they've got some, like, since I started getting interested in this, we took a walk down the town forest there and checked out that dam they're thinking about taking out. There's a project they're looking at up on Mulcher Hill. We went up to look at that. But this business about the emerald ash borer, I am not that deeply into that, but, I totally hear where Don's coming from. I don't know that I have an action plan, but that, as critical as he thinks that is, I would want to get my head into that. I mean, because when the tree warden says we get a lot of trees that are a big worry for places where, my wife walks all the time at Mills Riverside, and lots of people do. Bob's, I don't spend as much time there, but I mean, the road stuff, realistically, most people that are on roads are in cars, that stuff is a worry. And certainly there's pedestrians, but those trails, yikes. I know they got a lot of things going, but I would want to get up to speed on that and see what could be done, maybe get involved with the grant writing and see what else might be available for that. And I don't know everything that they're into, but of what I've heard about, and that's the thing I'd like to get up to speed on the quickest.
Great.
Thanks.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions? No, thanks for being willing to
Yeah.
step up and
Thank you.
help out.
You bet.
Thank you.
We'll make a motion to appoint. Oh, did you have any?
No, I have just always start with my usual.
Okay.
Thanks about yourself.
I will make a motion to appoint Barry Driscoll to the Conservation Commission with a term expiring in 2027.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service and interest in me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right, well, at least Tom can speak now, because now we're going to talk about the FY26 budget.
Yeah,
and
thank you very much for putting all of these items into the one package. Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, good. Yeah, so we decided to request a little bit more this year than prior years, and it's mainly to have some leverage money to go with the grant funding that we're pursuing for removing the derelict dam. So if the board could see its way clear to put us in for $3,000 in the next budget cycle, that would be great. But I'm happy to entertain questions about that.
yeah, I know we've had a recent presentation in that. When do you expect because I know you applied for the grant, so when do you expect to hear from whether you get the grant or not?
Karina Daly is the point person for that, and she has submitted the paperwork to the granting agency that involved, but I'm not sure whether or not the notifications would take place in this fiscal year or if it would be after June 30th. That's a question I could follow up on and get word to you in short order. as I understand it, you're just trying to finalize committee budgets prior to the January 23rd hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We have to actually have the budget all in order by the 17th of January to meet the requirements for the 23rd.
Okay, 17th then.
Yeah.
So I think we're currently working on a $2,000 limit for this fiscal year. And some of that money has not been spent yet, just partly because we're shorthanded, and projects like the town tree nursery and continued improvement of tree health on the Jericho Center Green, those things have basically been put on the back burner until we have a little more help from either the community or additional members on the commission.
Yeah, everybody had a skinny budget for fiscal year 25, that's for sure.
Well, one of the things that I thought about in the last couple of weeks, Catherine, had to do with coming up with a climate resiliency document. And I'm wondering if the board would consider perhaps hiring a consultant to assist in that. I know we talked about having the Jet Force and the Conservation Commission co-author a draft, but again, slow movement on that project, and I'm just wondering if some of our unused money for the current fiscal year might go toward starting a project like that, and then using some of next year's funds to help finish it.
There's funding. The Jet Force actually has a consultant for a climate action plan to insert inside of the enhanced energy plan, because it's Ann Janda, who's the energy coordinator for the Regional Planning Commission, said 95% of those plans are overlap, but there's about 5% that do not. And in our case, we do not have enough information in the enhanced energy plan for that deals with greenhouse gases and transportation. That's the focus there. There is some work going on right now, and I think funding available for the resilience. There's a couple opportunities out there for resilience planning, for climate resilience planning. So what you're talking about is probably slightly a little bit different than what the Energy Committee is talking about, because we need to reduce the greenhouse gases and things like that. You know, it helps with resilience, but it's a slightly different focus. But yes, I think eventually, we'll probably overlap together as things, because I'm having the same problem you are in terms of the committee meetings. Not many people are showing up right now.
I see. Well, are there any other clarifications that you need from us as far as our budget request?
Does Paula have anything to say? I mean, because, no. Okay. Yeah.
It's right here, right? It was 3,000 last year, 3,000 this year.
Yeah. Yeah. We're good. Thank you, Tom. I mean, that way we can, because we want to have a budget meeting soon to look at the whole picture and see what it looks like. So I'm
happy to do my part. I appreciate all the hard rowing that you folks are doing on the boat.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your work as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that dam removal.
Well, we'll certainly keep you in the loop, and I'll follow up on that question about when the funding decision is due.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next is Paula. it would be you with talking about the next, other outside agencies that, requested, some funding, but fairly small amounts.
Right. Yeah, they are fairly small. So we did get information from the Jericho Food Hub and the Transition Town Jericho for the kids' garden. And the Jericho Food Hub was requesting $1,000, and the Transition Town Jericho for the kids' garden was $1,100. We don't have them in the outside agencies right now, but this is the time that we can add them in if that's something the board wants to do. Along with the other two that we got was Hope Works, and they're requesting $500, and the Vermont Adult Learning is requesting $500 as well.
Yeah, both of those are brand new, organizations for us.
Yes. Yep.
It appears that they do serve, Jericho residents.
Yep.
And, you know, and some very important for the amount of money that they're asking for. Yeah, we told, you know, way back in the spring when, Dave Cliff and Transition Towns came for the kids' garden, we suggested that they actually apply to be put in the outside agencies because he's been coming now for the last couple of years at
Right.
$11.
Correct.
But the fact that kids keep gardening, that's really good.
And there's a lot of stuff around community building.
Exactly.
Food stuff, getting people out of their houses and out into the parks and stuff.
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, yeah, well, you know, at the moment, let's plug them in just to see where we are.
Okay.
Okay, next is we have to warn public hearings for the proposed bylaw amendment for the town garage maintenance facility.
Yeah, so the Planning Commission is going to be holding a hearing on December 17th for the proposed amendment, and the Select Board will need to warn 2 public hearings as well to, and those could be on January 2nd and January 16th. So if that works for you, which it works for everybody else, that seems to be doable. It's just up to you guys if you want to warn that.
You do?
I think we do.
Yes.
Is that just a regular board meeting?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But we start, when it's a public hearing, we start with the public hearing.
Sure, yeah, but what, I was gonna look at my calendar to see if I could make it, but that's
Oh,
the
okay.
thing that that's already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a
Yep.
motion. Like, do I make a motion and then and then we officially warn it, or is the motion the warning?
Yes.
You're motioning to, you're making a motion to warn the meeting for,
Okay. I will
Yes.
make a motion to warn the meeting for the amendment, the bylaw amendment for the town garage maintenance facility, but, should I mention that, like, it's updating the zone, right?
right,
What's the name of the zone?
open space.
The open space zone.
Yeah, so you're going to want to make a motion to warn 2 public hearings for the town
Okay, I'm gonna start
facility.
over.
Yeah,
Okay.
you warn the first one and then you warn the second one.
What?
as a
No.
conditional use in open spaces.
Okay. Make a motion to warn the proposed bylaw amendment public hearings, one for January 2nd and one for January 16th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good luck with that, Donna.
Yeah, good luck typing that up. Don't mess that one up.
Poor Donna. Okay, next is, we actually have some errors and omissions from the lister's office, which is.
Right. So
And then
I
have to do that.
have the original document that I'll need you guys to sign. So if you can just stop by the office at some point, that would be great.
All 3 of us?
Yes, please. Well, yes, whenever you guys can.
Yep. Okay.
At different times.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be great. And it's
All right.
just the three of them that you have in front of you. I believe you have copies of the three.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask what the story is behind the 3 changes?
I cannot give you the backstory. Lori could answer those questions, and I can definitely send that out, and she can respond to you.
But we do have to make a motion to accept the errors and omissions.
Yes. Yep.
Just generically, what kind of thing leads to that?
Well, I think each one of them kind of said it, didn't it?
It does. It says like on the bottom one, it was 10.5 acres was omitted, and they had to add it back into their.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost that. It was a supplemental one. I don't know if you
Yep,
saw
and
that.
one was a new current use application that just adjusted the acres.
Oh, let's permitted 10.5 acres.
Yep.
Current use application.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then she, her VA's
Yep.
exemption.
Yep.
Okay. I will make a motion to accept the errors and omissions list from the lister's office.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And we have to sign.
Yes.
Yes.
I was making this work tonight.
Yeah. And then the next one is we need to appoint Paula Carrier, the town administrator for Act 171 Municipal Code of Conduct Ethics Liaison. I got a couple emails over the last couple of weeks reminding us that the select board has to appoint a staff member as a contact with the State Ethics Commission. And then come 2025, all 3 of us will have to, once they finally decide what the training is going to be, all 3 of us have to take new ethics trainings.
Probably busy that year. That was good. Motion to appoint Paula Carrier, who is also the town administrator, as the Municipal Code of Ethics Liaison.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Now, we have select board updates. Do you want to go?
Paula had a list of some things we needed to do, right? So maybe we should start there?
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
I did?
I thought you did. You said there was something that wasn't on the agenda that we had to. Wasn't there something that was not on the agenda that we had to do tonight? Approve the fees or something?
Approve the fees.
Am I making that up?
Yeah.
No, that's something in the future, I think. Wasn't that Affordable Housing Committee?
Oh, yes. That will be, yes, you will have to do that yes.
That's at the next.
That's not now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read that as it had to be tonight. Okay.
Nope.
And what about the road policy went away?
Yes, because we moved it to Paul and I can talk because I met with Tyler. And that's because it changed again.
Okay.
But Paula, you said the last meeting that I should meet with Tyler because he wanted to make some comments before we actually approved the policy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he thought the policy generally reads well. It's similar to other towns. His concern is that we already have a very small road crew for the amount of road work we do. And his concern is that potential adding bridges and culverts will be an additional cost as well as work for the existing road crew.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was also concerned about the snowball effect, where we do for one road and others might get in line.
Mm-hmm.
But I, talked to him about it's highly unlikely because of the requirements that we're putting on this. But he said what he wanted to do then was, and it's in, I saw that some of the changes have already been made, but we need to run it by Claudine because he said he would check with her as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that we should consider adding a checklist to it. And he gave an example with Highgate.
Okay.
Because he said with Highgate, for example, the town engineer looks at the road while it's being built, if it's going to be taken over. Because he said some of these roads that might want to be taken over aren't particularly well built. And he said it's like you have,
Buying a house that's falling down.
yeah, where you have like just a bunch of junky gravel and you put a nice,
Yeah,
you know,
roll coat over it.
Throwing it.
Done.
exactly. And he said he wanted it to be crossed with the public works specs on how to build them. And he said, actually, that made me feel better, like you said, Eric, that when you have the engineer, say good things, that you feel better. And that he said that, you know, we may want to change the size of the roads and things like that. But he said, basically, though, how we build the road, what we put in there to build the road from the bottom up to the driving surface is really good. And that can continue. And he said, you know, the specs are still good. He said the other important thing is to make sure there's a very clean break with the HOA and stormwater permits. Because we don't want to be stuck with being the one with the permit.
I thought that we got clarification on that and we could not separate ourselves from that.
We don't have to take away the culverts and their storm ponds and things like that. What we have to do is we can separate ourselves and be the co-applicant, but we make it very clear the town is only responsible for the percentage
With the road.
within the road right away.
Okay.
And
So he
anything
wants more
beyond that, for
clarity
example,
around
the catch basins and et cetera, that belongs to the HOA.
I think we should say that explicitly.
Absolutely.
Like we're responsible for everything in the right of way. We're not responsible for things such as whatever you just said. It's not like, oh, that's part of the right of way, like saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
Be really explicit about what we're not taking over.
Yeah,
No,
something
no.
that would stand up to anything in court.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. Because
Okay, that's good.
that's good. So you want to add anything to that, Paula?
No, I don't know if I sent you, I think Tyler had just sent me the iterations that his edits to the policy. I don't know if I sent those to you guys or not, but yeah, he incorporated, the public work specs, making sure that they adhere by those. And then just added all local, state, and federal requirements, maintenance, and fees of both existing and future permits tied to the lots served by the roadways shall be borne by the landowners and/or homeowners association. If the roadway is taken over by the town will be responsible for only maintenance of the roadway, ditching, and culverts.
Great. So do we need the discussion on, what was it, Tuesday morning? Been a long week, I think, for everybody. We needed to run it one more time through Claudine then?
Yep, I'm gonna send this over to Claudine. Just have her check it, make sure that everything is okay, and then we can bring it to the 19th if it's all set.
Great, that's great.
And I did speak to Bill, and he is fine with it. He's like, he thanks the select board and myself for, moving this along and doing whatever we can.
Great.
That is great.
Thanks, Paula.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue while you're up, up then for any updates you have?
I do not have any updates. It's been a crazy week. So that's all I have to say.
Oh, I have a few things from the RPC. The RPC has this is kind of cool. I haven't played with it yet, but people who may want to. But the RPC has a new transportation sustainability tracking tool to provide metrics for evaluating the sustainability of household travel across Chittenden County and track trends over time, allowing users to evaluate changes in our greenhouse gas emissions. The purpose of the tool is to enable evaluations of progress towards transportation sustainability and climate goals. And then I sent that over to the Jeff.
I hope they study me. My greenhouse emissions have been, if you ignore my house, have been real good. I don't drive a lot.
And then what it does is it uses DMV data. So you have 1 to 2 year lag then on that stuff. And then this is also interesting. Efficiency Vermont is going to be holding a webinar on December 10th to discuss its new residential offers to support weatherization, home repairs, home heating, electrification, and flood recovery. It's designed to remove barriers for low to moderate income Vermont households that may have prevented projects for them in the past, which is great.
I read about that. I don't remember if you sent it or if I saw it. I read an article about it. It definitely expands
Yeah,
the help for that type of thing to a lot broader of
yeah,
income.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It's very good. I mean, it's really a good deal. There's other things I'll mention elsewhere. We had discussed it last night, regarding to, upcoming changes in administration and what it might mean.
Okay. I don't have any updates tonight that are.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll move on to, you've already signed yours, so good. So we're gonna approve the warrants, sign the warrants, we're gonna approve the minutes. And I didn't see anything real gainable, other than, doing small dividends, but nothing significant. Because the only thing I saw was on 197 is that Donald Garabo said he thinks we can get $5,000 to $75,000 for a grant, and that's the tree, urban tree canopy grant. But they said they are going to work with Adam, and
I did notice that. I wasn't sure who they meant.
yeah, I wonder if they meant Jacob, but we can't, without Tom saying what he wanted.
Oh, Adam is the urban forester for the state who I've been working with. As a-
Okay, so that, we need to probably then.
Do you know his last name?
McCullough. I can type it in to the chat if that helps.
Yeah, that would help, because that way, people reading this, they'll go with Adam, because, is that the old road with Foreman? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I wondered. That was a good catch. I thought of it and then I just moved on. I figured I should have known.
So then you can, spell it for us in the chat then. So that's
Oh.
only 198.
You want me to spell it out when she types it?
Okay.
So that should read Adam McCullough, M, little c, big C, ULLOGH.
Okay. Urban forestry.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, Sabine.
Thank you, Sabina.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
I had nothing on that. They all, good.
Great. So, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 21st as amended.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So we now need to go possibly executive session personnel.
I will make a motion to go into executive session because premature disclosure of the information will be detrimental to parties involved for reasons of personnel and legal. And I need a second in order to actually do that.
Oh, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Oh, and sorry, and that should
Invite
say,
Paula.
and I meant to invite Paula to that.
Yeah.
That's probably why you're waiting.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Tom, and we're glad you were able to get the volume working so we could hear you.
Thank you very much. You folks take care. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.